We are the impact, deeply felt, a ripple through the stratosphere, the murderous sign of the times, Ferguson to Palestine. We take up our cross, we choose up our side, and we get thee behind that dividing line. North of normality, south of civility, at the edge of reason, we score our wins, cutting deep below the belt, knives forged in the fires of race, class, and economy. The final frontier, it is here where we walk the line, putting property over people and buildings over them too. New homes become tombstones, burying lifetimes under this strife line. Here lies. Make love to this tug of war, where the friction on our sleeve, we speak the names of our dead soldiers while they call them heroin dealers and dope boys, claim segregation like a badge of honor. We burn humanity in effigy, hide inequity in fancy speech, birth babies, breach feet first before they speak words when their side has already been reserved. The chasm so wide, our whole emptiness can fit inside, where hollow hearts and voices reside. This line in the sand is our city's last stand. Epic, our history, folded into the corners of honorary streets, reimagined slave cabins packed in packages of abated taxes, misguided blights in the fight over land rights, homes that hold the souls of our sacred ancients, windows paned and foundations shaken, we call them vacants. Could Maya have imagined or Joplin soundtracked it? Miles blowing, barrels back cracking against the force of curveballs still thrown. Would Josephine's eyes tire had she seen the same night-lit fires? Would those neo-freedom writers inspire movement songs by our great town criers? Where be the hands that once rubbed oils into whip backs, making magic of lard and meal, pressed bed sheets? Where be the memory of nursemaids and Pullman porters? Where now be our hymns and our hymns? Who decrees our marching orders? Does the dust we kick up hold the remnants of those who loved us and from whom we've descended? Under what cover is our history tucked and hidden? Errant policies, democratic monopolies, Scott trading and debating, stadiums and geospacing, sports teams and hollow proclamations downtown, where the unhoused can't sleep on city steps, so they wander, eyes somber, in the undertow of a flood, drowning in urban renewal, choking on progress, lives guarded in the uncharted river of invisibility, where politicians serve dark tomorrows that taste of good intention, a suspension that burns sour and bitter on our tongues, unflinching, unwavering, undervalued, understated, unrelated to understood, we the unkempt and underserved, unspent and undeterred, unbowed, unmarred, let us be uncuffed and unharmed, unable to unbar, so we unguard our unguard, unyoked and unplugged, we unmoved and unloved. Neo.
So, take a shower.
Making music from this discordant current, a makeshift matrix wallowing in technology, square spaces and rare cases where trickle down makes up for deficits, where the best we can get is click, bait, and switch, restarts and sleep modes, times carry the binary codes of conduct for the construct of race and time. Big money means nothing when the people are starved for a real network. Interstates and rural routes, the meeting of destiny, circle interchanges interlacing the displacement, men at work on jobs never quite finished, a pathway laid so we can avoid seeing the decay, a road paved with perdition and doubt, bypassing the scenic route we are rarely heard, diligently observed but not seen, 55s and 44s, all the 70s and transit boards that work around the turf surrounding our worth, binding us to our boundaries, choking off our access points. Oppression in the actions and atoms in our bones, It's a fine mist, like dawn-broken dew. It hangs thick and heavy in our air. It wears on our spirits, clings to our membranes, coats our lungs. We can't breathe. With hands up, we touch tribulation, feel the sting on our fingertips, our fingerprints smudged with the residue of suffering at the hands of the negligent. An omnipresent scent. We inhale tyranny, exhale unease, cloaked in struggle like a second skin. The force and the weight of being forced to wait for morning and joy. Neither of them seem to ever break dawn. Necrosis. We feed on protrudity, eating our young, digesting our demons, swallowing whole the scourge, nourished by our collective pain, sucking blood from the carcasses of dead ideas, patronize our peasants with labor laws and reckless efforts. If we could, we would indeed blot out the sun, for what can grow here when shadows rule the day? Skyscrapers and office parks become cloud formations that withhold the rain, so we mine misery and grow death rates, cultivate class and rat race, harness the darkness to stifle the black, deploy white noise to rot our riots, death becoming us a truth self-evident. We, the snake, eating its own tail. So, where do we go from here? How do we bend the light? Move wind and wave? How can thought become the action that matches the magnitude of our magic? How does unity happen? Under what circumstance do we take our neighbor's hand, walk fearlessly and stand in the promise of that deferred dream, where we bravely wield our color wheel as both slingshot and as mighty shield, be us whole in our bones, a vibrant alliance, a network of a shared soul, in solidarity and rapport, connected by our cores, undivided, alive at our highest, united we stand, massively assert our dignity and our worth. First, we focus on our now. The only constant, sans change. To determine our future preceding the how, eyes on our prize and hands on our plows, till this soil until our palms blister. Make our mission be one of intention, be us given over to ancient wisdom, to think and move with precise precision, and merge our conviction with our ambition, align our decisions with a collective vision. Where do we go from here? Observation, sit in patience, ascertain the best way to make shifts, research and surveil what worked and what has failed, examine before we manage, consider the unintended damage. Don't panic, take heed, place our attention on collective needs, not the desire of the few over the dire fires of the many. Be open, be empty, be giving with our plenty, willing to fill ourselves with love, focus on action, a study of the past, then move in diligence. Remember to exhibit strength, growing upright in honor. That will soon provide the breeze for those who breathe in our hereafter. Write our next chapter in the blood of learned lessons. Cultivate and assemble a great mass of new temples, equally strong with expansive bases. Don't base their design on past crimes or hatred. Shape them in peace. Craft their high beams in gilded gold from a broken mold. Do unto others what we would have done for our mothers. Do not other the others. See ourselves in their eyes. The principal guide is that everyone can thrive.
So one of the wonderful things about TAG is that our supporters are real people in the community doing things. I'd like to give Pacia a few minutes to just talk about some of the wonderful contributions that you're making to positive change.
Thank you. Well, first, I would like to say thank you and give honor for being able to be here. I'm really just overjoyed to be a part of this. The vision that TAG has for collaborative work, for forwarding the mission of building strong and resilient and just communities. You know, saying what I have going on feels like saying what the world has going on. I'd like to give honor to one, Dr. Eugene B. Redmond, who you all can't see, but is right over here, because without Dr. Redmond, there would be no Pacia. It's interesting because when the very first poetry event I came to in 2009, when I moved here, was at the EBR Writers Club's Kwanzaa event in 2009. My daughter was a little bitty baby, and I met Dr. Redmond, and it was great. And in fact, when we saw each other on the street, he said, "How's my girl?" Right? And so what I have going on is what the world has going on, and I have that going on because of people like Dr. Red. So, you know, I consider myself what's called a community caregiver. I just do the things, right? So it can be something like this, where we're sharing art. It could be something like running somebody's mama to the store, because that is also art. It could be workshopping, talking about arts-based youth development, or you know, arts learning, community development. We're working on some artist housing projects in Gravois Park. It's very beautiful that you asked me that, Kayla, because in the midst of all the doing, I think sometimes we don't pause to gather and think of all the things that we do, right? And so, what else? I'm working with an organization called Freedom Arts Education Center, which is opening an academy this summer, this fall. So a school for all intents and purposes, because we do understand that a lot of our children learn differently than what the system has said that they have to learn. So consequently, they spend a lot of time out of school not learning, right? And so a group of artists and educators have gotten together and have developed a really great curriculum to work with young people. And I'm really honored to be a teaching artist as a part of that, working on our history, really just, you know, self-development, helping young people understand what it means to be human and how to be a good steward of your humanity. And we just use art to do it, right? And I'm gonna think of all the things when I get off camera. I'll be like, oh, I didn't say that. Ultimately, I'm just living and very grateful for this time, this pause in the chaos that existed before COVID. It's given me a great chance to deeply reflect on, you know, what I want for myself and my family, but also how I can be a benefit to our people and do work that actually leads to real liberating practices and policies. I shared this poem. It was a part of the START Festival in 2017 with a couple of things that I added in. Because also it touches on a lot of things that are happening in the city, which have been prevalent for a long time and are huge reasons why we need to vote. Because there are some people who are still in office right now, who have been in office, and I'm not saying they're part of the problem, but I might be saying they're part of the problem. So, you know, our once elder, now ancestor, in the words of Dr. Redmond, John Lewis, just transitioned. You know, even if you don't believe in the voting process, what a better way to honor such a great human being than to take those 2 minutes and say, your life mattered, I'm gonna vote, right? So thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Tag. And thank you to all the other artists. Thank you to the Harrell brothers for backing me up very, very much. And I look forward to all the magic that we're gonna make together.